Just taking water. Okay, so far we've read about in this chapter, which is about son of Dronacharya, Droni, is being punished, right? So far, what we've read is Duryodhan, who's lost the war and who's been hit badly on his thighs and about to die. And Ashwatthama, seeing all these things, he wanted to please his king. So what he did, he went and killed all the sons of Draupadi, the 5 sons of Draupadi. When he comes and reports that to Duryodhan, what does Duryodhana say? He says, this is a heinous act. This is unacceptable. To kill someone, that to children, then they're sleeping. So it's not acceptable. So even Duryodhana, who's considered to be epitome of adharma, he also discouraged such an act. Then what happened in the camp? There was an intense argument, and Arjuna takes the vow to please Draupadi, to satisfy Draupadi. So in fact, he says, I'll go get the head of the Ashwatthama, and then you can stand on that head and then take bath. So like that, he gives his vows to Draupadi. Krishna, Arjuna take their chariot and then go in search of Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama knows that invincible. When Krishna and Arjuna are together, they cannot be defeated. So what does he do? Out of impatience, out of fear, out of anxiety, not knowing what to do, he just released the Brahmastra. And Krishna tells Arjuna that Brahmastra is very devastating. It will cause more pain to the entire world, to the entire universe. And since Ashwatthama does not know how to withdraw the Brahmastra, he is telling Arjuna, you please withdraw the Brahmastra. So Arjuna fires another Brahmastra, and then together, both of them, he retracts them back. So that's how the whole world has been saved from what is it? Then the invincible Narayana, Krishna, Arjuna, they capture Ashwatthama and they're bringing it to the camp to punish Ashwatthama. Now, before bringing to the camp, there are some important things that are happening. So today's class is more about realizations rather than the story part of it. So we'll talk about those realizations. They'll talk about conversation. What is the real dharma that we need to look into it? Something like that we will understand. Now, what is Krishna is trying to do here, which we're going to start from Shloka 36. He's calling about this point that Ashwatthama is a Brahma Bandhu. Though he is Dvija, that means he was twice born, but he fell down and he became a Brahma Bandhu from a position of an exalted position of a Brahma. And since he's a Brahma Bandhu and he has committed this heinous act, which does not, even to practice warfare, there are codes. You cannot do anything whimsically. So he has not practiced those also. And he has caused enough pain to you at all times. So what you should do, you should kill. So you see the next few slokas we're talking about, Krishna supports, Krishna wants Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama. And he's giving all factuals and all dimensional data how he should kill Ashwatthama or why he should kill Ashwatthama. Okay, so let's read sloka number 36. Mattam pramattam unmatam suptam balam striyam jadam prapannam viratam vitam naripum hanti dharmavit. So you look at these keywords Arjuna, Krishna is telling Arjuna. He's telling Mattam. Ashwatthama is careless. He is pramattam. He is intoxicated with improper influence in his mind. Unmatam, insane, he's completely lost control of his mind. Suptam, asleep. Here, balam, suptam balam striyam, it says that one who is asleep, what happens? They can't fight, they're without weapons. They're not with armor and things like that. They're not in the proper frame of mind. So you cannot go attack them. So that is improper. Then balam, attacking a boy. Someone has to reach an adulthood to fight the warfare, right? So this balam, they're not even ready to fight the warfare, you go kill them. Then 3M, killing a woman, right? Then Jadam means someone who's foolish, who doesn't have any, mental stability of thoughts, right? So that Jadam, you cannot go kill them, right? When you see someone who's completely unstable in his thought process, you cannot go kill him. Hmm? So that's another point he's making. Then he's saying Prapannam, who's surrendered. So sometimes what happens in the war field, there will be one set of people who will attack the other, and then they will be victorious. Now, if the opponents are showing aggressiveness to attack and kill, yes, they can be killed. But if they've surrendered, they've given up, they throw their weapons and then kneel down front, you cannot kill them. That's called Prapannam, surrendered. So like that, Krishna is giving all these points to Arjuna, is telling that none of the codes of religious warfare has been practiced by Ashwatthama. Right? So man who does not practices the codes of war need not be spared, he need be killed. So he's telling kill. Then let's look at the next sloka, 37. He says, Swa prananya para pranai prapushnati agrana kala tadvadastasya hi shreyo yaddoshat yati adapuman. So here he says, a cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down. So here Prabhupada is giving examples of, slaughterhouses, right? So if you look at slaughterhouses, the animals need not be killed. Krishna has provided enough food, enough grains, enough wonderful vegetarian things for people to live and sustain. But improperly killing other animals just for the taste of our tongue, for our own benefit, for our own sense gratification, is improper. Is what he is trying to give as an example. Which means Ashwatthama is now deserves to be killed because he's trying to living at the cost of others. Right? And hence he needs to be killed. And that's the argument that he's giving. Right? So in this part, okay, I want someone to read here. So I'll just highlight this. Okay. So someone read this yellow highlight.
He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly.
He who gives?
He who gives
this one.
Permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks an animal, he who administers distribution of foodstuff, and at last he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the law of nature. No one can create a living being desperate by the laws of nature. No one can create a living being despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims.
Yeah. So Prabhupada says when one who does not have the ability to create, one does not have the permission to kill. Right? We did not create that animal. We did not create any of these things. So we don't have permission to cause cruelty on those living beings. Right? So he is giving these examples, and then he's telling that Ashwatthama, what he did is a very heinous act. So hence, you have to kill him. Now look at Krishna's argument. He is coming from various angles, right? So he is talking about, he's only a Brahmana Bandhu. He did not practice any of those things. Then second, he talked about codes of war. He did not follow any codes of war. Then third, he's talking about, one who lives at the cost of others. You cannot. So you have to kill him. So you look at various angles of arguments that Krishna is telling Arjuna that you captured him, kill him immediately. Do not wait. Do not wait for a moment. Let's look at the next sloka, 738. Pratishrutam cha bhavata panchalyai shrinvato mama aharrishe sirastasya Yaste manina putraha. Now here, Panchalya means queen of Panchali, right? So Panchali refers to Draupadi. What did you promise Draupadi? What did you promise? You will chop the head of Ashwatthama, bring him to your lotus feet, and you can stand on him and take bath. So you've given that promise, so fulfill that promise. Kill Ashwatthama, right? So Krishna is giving another dimension as to why you should kill Ashwatthama. We'll see one more sloka. Tad ashau vadhyatam papa atatayi atmabandhuha bhartuscha vipriyam veera kritavan kulapam shanaha. Translation. This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately. Mhm. So, Krishna is bringing multiple dimensions. He is telling that even though he is son of Dronacharya, but he is a degraded son, right? He is not worthy to be called as a son of Dronacharya, right? First point. Second point is done. Even though he is a Dvaja, that is, he went according to the instruction, went to the Gurukul, learned all these things, took a Brahminical thread and everything, but he never practiced them, right? So he became a Dvaja, but he actually became Brahmabandhu, right? So, not acceptable. Third, such a qualified person, you know what he did? He killed the family members of yours, that is your children, who were just sleeping. They were unarmed. They were Balya. So that is also wrong. So like that, you see, and he gives the conclusion point that by this act, he did not even please that Duryodhana who is Adharma. Even Duryodhana did not accept that fact. So in all dimensions, what he did is wrong. So you should kill him. Right? Now here, Prabhupada is making an important point here. So let's see this. Let's read this. Someone read this highlight. Someone read this
In the
highlight.
Shastras, he who attacks without notice or kills from behind or sets fire to another house or kidnaps one's wife is condemned to death. Krishna reminded Arjuna of these facts so that he might take notice of them and do the need.
Hmm. So what are the three things that the Shastras prohibit a human being from doing it? What are the three things? One who sets fire to someone's house, right? While someone is sleeping in the house, you can just throw some fire on the roof, and then the roof starts burning, the entire house starts burning, right? Now here the Pandavas were sent to a palace, and the entire palace was set to fire. So, it is not acceptable. Then he says, kidnaps one's wife, right? So you saw in Ramayana also, when Ravana kidnapped the wife of Lord Ram, death was imminent. Death was written on the wall, sculptured on the wall. There's no doubt about it. So these are the things that we should remember that the Shastras prohibit. And they must be condemned. So he's giving a Shastric reference to Arjuna. You have to kill Ashwatthama. Okay. So up to sloka number 39, we are talking about how Krishna is giving various pointers to Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama. But let's see in sloka 40 what actually happens. Okay. Sloka text.7.40. Sutavacha evam parikshata dharmam partha krishnena chodita naicha dantum gurusutam yadyapi atmahanam mahan. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashwatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Okay? So there are many things to realize out of this. The first is Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna or instigating Arjuna to check his composure. Now, what happened to his composure? Arjuna became very angry to see this heinous act. So he took a vow. I'll chop the head of Ashwatthama and bring him. Right? So he took a vow, and so Arjuna is telling, Krishna is checking Arjuna whether he is going to be following the rules of Dharma, whether he is balanced in his thoughts of Dharma. Okay. Secondly, you see from Arjuna's side, even though he is so much angry, but he's showing composure. He's showing compassion on someone. So he tells that Arjuna is a great devotee. In fact, Lord tells a message to all of us that devotion to me can be satisfactorily practiced when one shows compassion on others, right? When one does not show compassion on others or other living entities, the mercy from the Lord cannot be obtained. So this is one of the greatest quality of someone to become a devotee, right? So what do? We understand forgiveness. Okay, he's done such a heinous act. Okay, it may be a mode of ignorance. So he has done it. Let us forgive him. But we should also understand, is life about forgiveness or justification? So there must be a balancing act, right? So Krishna is trying to reveal the consciousness of Arjuna. How is he going to apply justice while he is going to become passionate? So these two things need to run parallelly, right? So this is a very important purport. I want someone to read this purport. Can someone read both the paragraphs?
Arjuna was a great soul, undoubtedly, which is proved here also. He is encouraged herein personally by the Lord to kill the son of Drona, but Arjuna considers that the son of his great teacher should be spared, for he happens to be the son of Dronacharya. Even though he is an unworthy son, having done all sorts of heinous acts whimsically for no one's benefit, Lord Sri Krishna encouraged Arjuna outwardly just to test Arjuna's sense of duty. It is not that Arjuna was incomplete in the sense of his duty, nor was Lord Sri Krishna unaware of Arjuna's sense of duty. But Lord Sri Krishna puts to the test many of his pure devotees just to magnify the sense of duty. The gopis were put to such tests as well. Prahlada Maharaja was also put to such a test. All pure devotees come out successful in their respective tests by the Lord.
Hari Hari. So in our life also, you may see there are simple tests. Now, qualities of a devotee are exalted. Now, if a devotee is put into a situation where he is getting a chance to steal, a chance to misbehave with a woman, devotees may be put into a situation where he is being chastised. How does he react? How does he handle the matter? And Lord puts one into a test, right? So let's take example of Haridas Thakur. Lord puts him into a test by sending a prostitute. Haridas Thakur came out victorious, right? So every time there is a situation, Lord tests whether the quality of consciousness is really intact or improving. That is the key point here. So Krishna is testing Arjuna. What is sense of duty? How is he going to act on such a matter? We will see more and more examples on this point. Okay. So now let's go to 7.41. Atopetya swasibiram Govinda Priya Sarati Nyavedhayatam Priyayai Sochantya Atmajan Hatan. Translation. After reaching his own camp, Arjuna, along with his friend, this Krishna, entrusted the murderer onto his dear wife, who was lamenting for the murdered sons. Okay, so Arjuna drags Ashwatthama to the feet of Draupadi and then throws him there. Okay, I brought him here. We need to award him the punishment for what he has done. So the court is now open. Who are all present there? So there are the Pandavas, Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthir, Nakula, Sahadev, they're all present there. everyone is going to express their viewpoints. Draupadi is present there. Satyaki is also present there. Krishna is also present there, and many others are being present there. So now Ashwatthama is made to, fall at the feet of Draupadi and then figure out what to do, how he will be punished for his act. So this is where we will learn the real dimension of what a yogi is, a practicing bhakti yogi means. Okay, let's read 42 now. Tatahritam pashuvat pashabaddham avan mukam karma jugupsitena nirikshaya krishna prakritam guru sutam vama svabhava kripaya nana macha. Translation. Shruta Goswami said, Draupadi then saw Ashwatthama, who was bound with ropes like an animal and silent for having enacted this most inglorious murder. Due to her female nature and due to her being naturally good and well behaved, she showed him due respects as a Brahmana. Okay, an important point here. Okay, so can someone read this purport here? This purport, what I'm highlighting.
Ashwatthama was condemned. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Ashwatthama was condemned by the Lord himself, and he was treated by Arjuna just like culprit, not like son of Brahmana or teacher. But when he was brought before Srimati Draupadi, she, although grieved for the murderer of her son, and although the murderer was present before her, could not withdraw the due respect generally offered to a Brahmana or to the son of Brahmana. This is due to her mild nature as a woman. Women as a class are no better than boys, and therefore they have no discriminatory power like that of a man. Ashwatthama proved himself to be an unworthy son of Dronacharya or a Brahmana, and for this reason he was condemned by the greatest authority, Lord Sri Krishna. And yet a mild woman could not withdraw her natural courtesy of a Brahmana. Even to in due Hindu family, a woman shows proper respect to a Brahmana caste. However, fallen and heinous a Brahmana a Bandhu may be, but the men have begun to protest against the Brahmana Bandhus, who are born in a families of good Brahmanas, but by action are less than Sudras. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so actions are less than sutras. So now look at it. This sloka uses a specific word, what is called as Vama Swabhava. So Vama Swabhava means, that special compassion. That is the nature of Draupadi. Right. Now, why does she show compassion? Let's analyze that. Now, here there are other words. For example, Nirikshaya Krishna Prakritam. So here, even though the word is used as Krishna, here Krishna is referred to Draupadi because Draupadi is also called as Krishna. And this Krishna Prakritam Guru Sutam means she is, it is referring to Draupadi. And she is seeing Ashwatthama as son of the teacher, Dronacharya, rather than Ashwatthama as anyone else. Right? Now, her point of view is the respect offered to the children of a guru must be as equivalent to as guru. They are also a Brahmana. They are also our guru. So how can we disrespect them? So that's the first point. Now, Prabhupada talks about compassion, how it needs to be balanced, right? Now, you cannot be compassionate all the time. Then what will happen is people will commit crime because of compassionate mood. They will escape and they'll continue to commit crime. So if you look at Krishna, he's trying to tell that compassion can be given, but it should be balanced with justice. Someone who deserves compassion, yes, you show compassion. Someone who doesn't deserve compassion, then justice must be given to him and appropriate punishment has to be awarded. If the punishment is not awarded to that person, then he may not realize that fact and he may continue to commit that sinful act. So this is the difference between a male who can see a personality versus a female. He says women are in general more compassionate to others compared to another male. So you cannot take a one-sided view, but you have to take both sides view. And that's the point that Prabhupada is trying to drive here in this sloka. All right. So let's take an example. How women are very compassionate. We'll take example of Dhruva Maharaj, right? In Dhruva Maharaj case, what happened? Suruchi was the dearmost devotee of Uttanapad. And Suniti was the mother of Dhruva. Now, Dhruva was insulted. And how he was insulted, it's not about he can't sit in the throne. Insulted on various facts that Suruchi says, you need to be born in my womb in order to sit in the throne. You may be the first, queen's wife or daughter, son, but you don't still have the eligibility. Now, Uttanapada was also silent. Because of his surrender to his wife Suruchi, he kept quiet when an improper behavior was practiced there. Now, this is the mode of Suruchi, but look at the compassionate mode of Suniti. Suniti, even though this was done, she was still having balance and composure in her thought. What did she say? She said, go take shelter of Vishnu. And when you take shelter of Vishnu, don't have this attitude of revengefulness in your heart. Okay, just take shelter of Vishnu. So you see, this is another example of how women are naturally very compassionate, right? Irrespective of what the situation is. So now we can see how Draupadi is demonstrating something like that, right? Now let's look at another example of being compassionate. Okay, I'm not getting another example. So now the point to drive here is we cannot take just the women's view of one side compassionate, but we have to take a balanced view. Because compassionate must be combined with justice, right? Certain acts which are very similar or simple in nature can be forgiven, but certain acts which are done beyond the aspects of dharma, beyond the aspects of codes, has to be punished. And it is punished for his own benefit, and that is what is important. If we don't punish, then what happens? Many other personalities will see, and they will also commit a crime, thinking that, oh, compassion will be awarded onto me and I'll be, let go free. So this is an important aspect that Prabhupada is trying to bring out here. Okay. Let's look at the next sloka, 43. Vacha chasahanti yasya bandhanana yanam sati mucchatam yeshe brahmano nitharam guruhu. Translation. Now in this sloka, she is trying to justify why she is compassionate. Who's compassionate now? Draupadi. So there is more justification as to why she wants to be compassionate to Ashwatthama. So her compassionate is coming to the fact that now Krishna established various facts that Ashwatthama needs to be killed. Arjuna did not kill him straight away, but he brought him to the camp. Arjuna is showing composure, but Arjuna is showing a composure based on balancing. Draupadi is showing only compassionate. And she is arguing various facts why she needs to be compassionate to Ashwatthama. Now, next few slokas you will see that her justification as to why she is compassionate. So we'll just go a little bit faster and then we'll come to the conclusion of various examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, how compassion versus justice was performed. Okay. Translation. She could not tolerate Ashwatthama being bound by ropes, and being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master's son. Right? Now, she is looking him as a son of an Acharya. Now, her point is, From Dronacharya is what you learned all the skills of Vedic scriptures, all the skills of archery, all the skills of firing these weapons and everything. How can we be without any gratitude for Dronacharya? So we cannot differentiate his son from him. So hence we have to treat him as Brahmana. So hence she says, I don't accept this heinous act of punishing Ashwatthama. We will release him. Right? Now we have a complicated situation. Now let's see more situations as she concludes her argument. 7.44. Sarahasyo dhanurveda sa vishargo gopa samyamaha astragramascha bhavata shikshito yad anugrahat. It was by Droncha mercy that you learned the military art of throwing arrows and confidential art of controlling weapons. So Dhanurveda is a great military art, and that needs to be practiced, and it cannot be practiced by self-learning. It's not like a book you can take it and learn. No. It is awarded by the mercy. See, for example, someone is getting Brahmanical initiated. He is being taught 7 Brahmanical mantras. Okay. Now, what's the difference? The 7 Brahmanical mantras is published in several books. It is there in audio lectures. It is there on YouTube. So someone can hear and then say, oh, this is what it is. Then I will also recite the 7 mantras. I'll be a Brahmana. No, he doesn't become a Brahmana like that. Right? How does he become a Brahmana? He becomes Brahmana by the empowerment and the, the mercy of the Guru. And he awards that mantra. That is when that mantra becomes powerful. Right? So, similarly, Draupadi is arguing on the same fact that it is not that you learn this archery skill just by your own ability to find those mantras and learn. No, you learned it because of the mercy of Dronacharya. And how can we be disrespectful to him and his family members? And that's the argument she's giving. And that's the whole point she's trying to explain here. Okay. Let's read 7.45. Sayesha Bhagavan Dronaha Prajarupena Vartate Tashyat Patni Aste Nanvagat Virashu Kripi. Okay, so Kripi is the wife of Dronacharya. So Ashwatthama is Kripi's son. Now look at her argument in this sloka. She says, as a mother, do you know the pain that I'm going through for separation of my 6 children, my 5 children who have been killed in this way? I'm going through a lot of lamentation. I'm going through so much of grief, uncontrollable grief. Now, by killing Ashwatthama, he is the only son. It is not that Kripi has many sons. She's the only Kripi. Ashwatthama is the only son of Kripi. And by killing him, you're also going to put Kripi into a similar situation like me. And why should you do that, being the family of a guru? So it is not justified. So it is not justified to kill Ashwatthama and punish Kripi for a mistake she has not committed. Why should she go through lamentation? Right? Is our argument again. Okay. Now let's look at the next sloka. Next sloka will talk about being respectful. How she's talking about different dimensions of how you need to be respectful towards our guru, a Brahmana, and how we should not put someone into distress. Okay, let's look at 746. Tad dharmagnya mahabhaga bhavadbir gauravam kulam vrijjanam narhati praptum pujyam vandyam abhikshanaha. O most fortunate, one who knows the principles of religion, it is not good for you to cause grief to glorious family members who are always respectful and worshipable. Right? So here, she's talking about the family of Dronacharya. Family of Dronacharya is a very respectful family. Just because there is one person who commits a crime, we cannot bring disgrace to the entire family. By killing Ashwatthama, you're going to do that. So we shall not do that. So she is looking at multiple dimensions, right, of not killing Ashwatthama. Niryalikam. So she says Niryalikam here, right? We cannot be disrespectful to the family who has been our Kulagurus. Okay. She's making some more arguments. The next 2-3 slokas are all her arguments. 47. Marodi dasya janani Gautami pati devata yataham mritta vatsartha rodmi ashru mukhi muhu. My lord, do not make the wife of Dronacharya cry like me. I am agreed for the death of my sons. She did not cry constantly like me. Okay. Now being sympathetic now. Okay, 48. Yai kopitam brahmakulam rajnai ajitatma bihi tatkulam pradyahati ashu sanubandham sucharpitam. So you see, yai kopitam. Kopitam means aggressiveness, extreme anger. Now, by showing that, by doing this act of Ashwatthama, what we are doing is the entire Brahmana Kulam, we are going to make them angry. Once we make them angry, then what happens? We Kshatriyas, administrators, we live under the mercy of the Brahmana Kulam. Then what happens? The entire kingdom will fall. The entire Kshatriya, the clan will fall, right? So we saw in the example of Parikshit Maharaj. Now what happened? When that Shringi was put into difficulty, right? Because of Parikshit Maharaj act of putting that dry skin snake around the neck. So what happened? That boy, he just cursed. And that curse caused a fall down of Parikshit Maharaj. Fall down meaning death of Parikshit Maharaj, right? So you see, these examples are very important. So Brahmanas being the higher classes where we need to respect them, we need to wash their feet, we need to do glorification for them, take advice from them, and then lead under their mercy. But what are we doing? We are doing an act which will disturb their entire Brahma Kulam. So that is not as good. She says, Rajnair ajitatma bihi. Ajita means, fall down. So the entire Rajakulam will fall down. And that is not good. Okay, so let's look at the next sloka. We'll read the translation. If the kingly administrative order, being unrestricted in sense control, offends the Brahmana order and enrages them, then the fire of that rage burns up the whole body of the royal family and brings grief upon all of them. So she said, you cannot do that. Okay, so now we'll look at sloka number 49. So she's now talking about different characteristics in her speech. She's using keywords like dharmyam, jnanyam, sakarunam. So we will see all those things. And then based on these religious principles, why we should spare Ashwatthama is her argument. Okay, 49. Sutta uvacha dharmyam jnayam sakarunam nirvyalikam samam mahat rajadharma suto rajnyaya pratya Nandat vacho dvijaha. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthira fully supported the statement of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion, and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity. Right? So can someone read this purport here for me? Hare Krishna.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yeah, read Mataji.
Maharaja Yudhishthira, who was the son of Dharmaraja or Yamaraja, fully supported the words of Queen Draupadi in asking Arjuna to release Ashwatthama. One should not tolerate the humiliation of a member of a great family. Arjuna and his family were indebted to the family of Dronacharya because of Arjuna's learning the military science from him. If ingratitude was shown to such a benevolent family, it would not be at all justified from the moral standpoint. The wife of Dronacharya, who was the half body of a great soul, must be treated with compassion, and she should not be put into grief because of her son's death. That is compassion. Such statements by Draupadi are without duplicity because actions should be taken with full knowledge. The
the feeling of
uh,
equality.
the,
Left-hand
the
side top.
feeling of equality was there because Draupadi spoke out of her personal experience. A barren woman cannot understand the grief of a mother. Draupadi was herself a mother, and therefore her calculation of the depth of Kripi's grief was quite to the point, and it was glorious because she wanted to show proper respect to a great family.
Great family, yeah. So now you see the consciousness of Draupadi here. Now, even though she went through a lot of tribulations, right from the early part of her life in Hastinapur till now, still she is showing great compassion and respect to those families, right? So this marks a quality of a great woman, right? Now, when Draupadi puts over these 6 points against being respectful full to the family of Dronacharya, being a Brahmana, being their guru, Yudhishthir agreed to it because Yudhishthir also was a very compassionate king, right? He looked at the point of dharma and he also agreed to that point. Now, next 2 slokas, we will see who agrees and who disagrees. Then we'll come to an argumentative discussion. Okay, we'll read 50 and 51 together now. Nakula Sahadevascha Yuyudhano Dhananjaya Bhagavan Devaki Putra Ye Chanyayascha Yoshitaha. Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brothers of the king, and also Satyaki. Satyaki is the Narayana Sena, the army of Krishna. The Narayana Sena was like the head, commander-in-chief. Arjuna, the personality of head of Lord Krishna, Devaki, and the ladies all unanimously agreed with the king. So now you see, there's one party who's agreeing to Draupadi's comments, and conclusion by Yudhishthira Maharaj, they've all agreed. Now Arjuna is still on both sides, right? He agrees to the viewpoint, but he's not concluded. Okay, now only one person who's left, Bhima. Let's see what Bhima does. 51. Tatra ha marshito Bhimas tasya shreyan vadasmritaha na bhartur natmanas charte yohan suktan sishunvrita. So the key is natmanas. Let us see what does that mean. Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing this culprit, who had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest. Right? So, Bhima is completely dissatisfied. In fact, if you read Mahabharata, right, in the current context of Bhima's argument, there's a very, very elaborate, it's almost like 10 to 20 slokas are there. Bhima's argument, Bhima brings about the entire history, right from his younger age, how he was poisoned, how the palace was set to fire, how the disturbing of Draupadi. So many things he brings about in these events and say, this is what has been done again and again and again. And Yudhishthir, you're expecting me to tolerate every time all these things happen? So I don't agree to you. You should have some self-respect for yourself. You're not, you're just compassionate blindly, but you're not having justice. So justice must be applied, compassion must be applied. It cannot be one-sided. And hence Bhima says he must be killed. Okay, so now we have 2 parties. One party wants to kill Ashwatthama, another party who wants to spare Ashwatthama. And they have put their arguments why this needs to be done. So now let us sit and discuss here about what is Arjuna going to be doing. So for which Krishna is trying to play the role here. This is the role that Krishna is going to play. 52. Nishamya bhima gaditam draupadyascha chaturbhujaha alokya vadanam sakyo idam aha hasan iva. Translation. Chaturbhuja, the four-armed one, over personality of Godhead, after hearing the words of Bhima, Draupadi and others, saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak as if smiling. Now, why is Krishna quoted as Chaturbhuja? Now, the argument in the camp is quite intense. Krishna is Shyamasundara in his natural form, he is two-handed. Now, in the Narayana form, he is four-handed. Right? So, Krishna expands his Narayana form into his four-armed, and he uses two arms to tell Draupadi, you've done an argument, I want to tell you a few things, please control yourself. With his other two hands, he's trying to tell Bhima, you've spoken what you need to do, so you please tolerate about the situation and we will do what needs to be done. So he's playing the role of a mediator. He's trying to play the role of a mediator where everyone comes to a common understanding. If everyone doesn't come to a common platform of agreement, then what will happen? This will go on forever and they may become offensive to each other. So he's playing the role so that people can make their arguments, but they need to come to a common platform of composure and justification. If they don't, the arguments become very intense and it may lead to some other result, right? So let's look at some examples. See, in Ramayana, we have this example of Vibhishana, right? So the war is about to begin and the camp of Lord Ram is going to cross the ocean to fight Lankeshwar. At the time, what happens? Vibhishana, he flies with a few of the members and then he comes to the camp of Ram. What does Vibhishana do? He lands and he straight away falls at the feet of Lord Ram. So at that time, you see, Vibhishana is seeking, what do you say, shelter under Lord Ram. We will not go into the reasons why he wants to take shelter of Lord Ram. Now, Ram is asking, okay, now Vibhishana has come and trying to take shelter here. Do we provide shelter or do we kill him? What is it that we should do? Is the question Ram is asking. The first one to speak about this was Sugriva. What did Sugriva speak? Oh, we know this Vibhishana. He is from the camp of Ravana. He's brother of one Ravana. Why will he support someone else? Being a brother, he will always favor him. So he may be coming here to spy us. He may tell all the military secrets, our military positioning, our strength, every detail to Ravan. And he may be the cause of our defeat. So why accept a danger knowing the fact that he's from the camp of Ravana? So Sugriva is very vocal in his argument that Vibhishana must be killed. Right. Then Vibhishana, okay, now Sugriva is who? Sugriva is the king. Now, he's the king of the entire army. Right. So he has higher say than anyone else. Okay, now let's look at the other person speaking. So Hanuman took his turn to speak. Hanuman says that a person can be judged by his words, by his behavior, and by his facial gestures. He says, if you see Vibhishana, I feel that he is a genuine person. He may be a brother of Ravana, but I feel there is genuinity in him. I think you should give him the benefit of doubt and you should accept him, Lord Ram. You should not kill him. Is the argument that Hanuman is speaking. Now look at this argument, very controversial. No, Hanuman did not keep quiet. Oh, the king has spoken, whether right or wrong, I'll keep quiet. No. He did speak. What is standards of dharma? Okay. Sugriva is, on the other hand, spoke according to his concoction, according to his thought process, but he respected the viewpoint of Hanuman. So very, very important how a leader behaves and how a subordinate behaves. Okay. Ram, after hearing, he's silent. He wants to hear more. At the time, Sugriva says, we've shared our viewpoints to you, Ram, you take your decision. So Lord Ram finally tells that if someone comes and surrendered to me, I will give him shelter. There's no doubt about it. And he says, not just Vibhishana, even if Ravana comes and tells, oh Ram, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'll give him shelter also. So if I can give shelter to Ravan, why not give shelter to Vibhishan? So that's the argument that Lord Ram concluded, and he said, we will accept him into our camp. Now, when Ram accepted into his camp, you should see the reaction of Hanuman and Sugriva. Hanuman never jumped in pride. Oh, even though I'm a junior, even though Sugriva, the king, told, he accepted my statement. So, Hanuman never became or pride. He was not proud about the situation. He was more compassionate about the mood of Lord Ram. And Sugriva, on the other hand, immediately did not say, oh, Ram, even though I'm the king, you're going against the king, so I will not fight this war, I'm going against you. So he did not do any revolting. With great humility and respect, he accepted the conclusion of Lord Ram. Right? So you see the behavior of two personalities. Now in this camp, we have one against and one for it. So as Krishna is putting the situation to Arjuna, go take this decision. So he's telling Arjuna how to take a decision. You have to balance compassion, you have to balance justice. You cannot do both. You cannot be one-sided. See, this is what we learn from our scriptures, really amazing. So hence it says, when Arjuna was perplexed about what to do with Ashwatthama, Lord Krishna, as a dear friend of Arjuna, voluntarily took up the matter just to make a solution, and he was smiling also. Right? Okay, now let's read this next sloka, 53 and 54. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Brahma Bandhu Na Hantavya Atatayi Vadarnhanaha Mayaivo Bhayam Amnatam Paripahi Anushashanam Kuru Pratishrutam Satyam Yattat Santavyata Priyam Cha Bhima Shenasya Panchalyamagyam Evacha. Translation. The person of God, Sri Krishna said, a friend of Brahmana is not to be killed. But if he is an aggressor, he must be killed. All these rulings are in the scriptures, and you should act accordingly. You have to fulfill your promise to your wife, and you must also act to satisfaction of Bhimasena and me. So Krishna is putting up a very, very important situation for Arjuna to think. He's telling, follow the scriptures, follow the codes of conduct. He says, follow the rules of how you treat a Brahmana, how you treat a Brahmana Bandhu. He says, above all of them, you have to satisfy everyone here. You have to satisfy Draupadi, you have to satisfy Yudhishthira, you have to satisfy the Pandavas, you have to satisfy Bhimasena, you have to satisfy me. You cannot act in one way. Go ahead and do it, Arjuna. So he is making Arjuna to really think. So this is the classical example of Arjuna showing his intelligence. Arjuna is showing intelligence how to act. Now, even in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna felt compassion, when he saw the army, he felt compassionate about, oh, my cousins, my guru, my grandfather, how can I kill them? Krishna said that you're polluted with a misplaced compassion. You're polluted with an intelligence which you're not able to distinguish between compassion and justice. So he triggers the same point at the time in which Arjuna could not conclude, and which leads to Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So the key words are polluted intelligence and misplaced compassion. If someone is coming to kill you, you cannot say, oh, he's such a nice person. He has done a lot of good things. Oh, I will accept his killing and then I'll surrender so that he can chop my head. That's called misplaced compassion. You cannot do that either. right? So hence Krishna is telling or making Arjuna to think how to act in such a situation. Okay, now let's read the next sloka, 55. This is when Arjuna is demonstrating his intelligence. How is he demonstrating his intelligence is what we have to understand. Suta Vacha. Arjuna sahasajnaya. No. Sahasranyaya harer hardam atasina. Maninam jahara murdanyam. Dujasya saha murdajam. Translation. Suta Goswami said, just as Arjuna could understand the motive of the Lord by his equivocal orders, balanced orders. And thus with his sword, he served both hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. Now you should understand how Arjuna is thinking. He kept Krishna in his consciousness before taking the decision. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. So, from the heart, Krishna speaks. From our consciousness, Krishna gives us the intelligence how to act. When can this happen? When will Krishna speak from our heart? When our practice of devotion is in a steady state manner. When we have accepted Krishna and trying our level best in all our endeavors to connect with the Lord and practice devotion, then the Lord will speak from internally. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. So from the internal of our heart, Krishna will speak. So even though Krishna is standing there and speaking as Paramatma, he is revealing the intelligence to Arjuna how to speak, how to act, how to do something. So this is exactly what we need to do. So in our devotional life also, we may have many situations. Should I do this or should I do that?
What is this dual, Prabhu?
Dual means at the same time, I'm having two options. Whether should I do this or should I do that? That is called dual. So this is exactly.
No, here he tells, no, Prabhu, with his word he is severe both hair and jewel.
That we will come now.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how Arjuna is being placed. Okay. So in our devotional life also, we may be into several situations. What do I do? If our practice of devotion, if our remembrance of Krishna and his pastimes and his instructions are always there in our heart, we will take shelter of them. And that will lead to perfection. Otherwise, we may make a blunder and cause injustice to our own acts. Okay. So now here what does Arjuna do? He says, by the equivocal orders of the Lord, that means on both sides, Arjuna said, I will satisfy all of them. How? By killing a Brahmana and not killing a Brahmana. Both has to be done. So killing a Brahmana means physically assault him. Not killing him is not physically assault him. So I will mentally assault him. I will assault him from his name, fame, pride, and respect and all these things. That means if someone is stripped of all the respect, it is as good as he committing suicide, as good as he feeling unworthy of living. He'll feel ashamed, right? So in those days, what people used to do, at least in villages, when someone commits a crime, what they do, they will mark symbols on his body and they'll strip all his dress. They will mark symbols on his body and then they'll make him ride on a donkey around the city. That is an act of not killing him, but killed him, his personality, his character assassinated completely. So he'll feel so ashamed either not to live there or not to commit the crime again. Right? So this is how Arjuna takes that step there. Now here, severed her hair means when you cut the hair of a Brahmana, it is considered to be a disrespect to a Brahmana. Disrespect here means insult. Okay. Then the jewel from the head of Ashwatthama. See, jewel is the one that glorifies Ashwatthama situation. If that has been removed, then there is no more strength for Ashwatthama, mentally, physically, and all aspects. And that jewel makes Ashwatthama to live like a Chiranjeevi. But that is when it's removed, he is no more Chiranjeevi. So he removes those great qualities away from him, and that's how he punishes him. Right? So text 756. Vimicharasana baddham balahatya hatam prabham tejasamani nahinam Shibiran Nirayapayat. He, Ashwatthama, had already lost his body luster due to infanticide. Infanticide means killing of infants. And now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, and he lost even more strength. Thus he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Now, what will happen? Oh, I'm a Brahmana, but no respect for me. Whoever sees me, they will curse me. What life do I have? This is a very similar situation Kaikeyi went through. Kaikeyi put a plan to send Ram to the forest. Right? She thought that, oh, once Ram is gone, my son Bharat will become the king, and I will be the Kula Rani, Kula Guru, Maharani, something like that. Right? A Guru Mata, something like that. And I will get all my respect, and my son will be the king and he'll be the ruler. That's the plan she put. But actually, what happened in her day-to-day life, she was constantly being cursed and insulted by all the members of the kingdom of Ayodhya. I mean, that insult and that that disrespectful attitude by others on her was more punishing than anything else in her life. She suffered out of pain internally than externally, and that was more cruel to her. Right? Similarly, you see, this is what happened to Ashwatthama, and that is how the punishment was awarded to him. Thus, being insulted, the humiliated Ashwatthama was simultaneously killed and not killed by the intelligence of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. So, from this, many things that we can learn. How a devotee should act. How a devotee should be compassionate as well as following the rules of justice. Both needs to be balanced in this act. And that's what this taught us. Okay? The last sloka, we'll just end this sloka. Vapanam dravina dhanam sthanam niryapanam tata yesha hi brahma bandhunam vado nanyosti daihikaha. Translation. Cutting the hair from his head, depriving him of his wealth, and driving him from his residence are prescribed punishment for a relative of a Brahman. Now he is Brahma Bandhu because of his fallen down state. There is no injunction for killing the body. Right? So Shastric also Arjuna met. So the other way to look at it is Shastra gives all these options for us to behave, to lead our life in this world. So a person is called a Pandita when he has read the Shastra, not only theoretically, but also by practice. So such a person is called a realized soul. And it is important to always take consultation and shelter of such a realized soul in leading our life. Right? So therefore, the sons of Pandu and Draupadi, overwhelmed with grief, perform proper rituals for the dead body of their relatives. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first canto, 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Okay, so we'll do Q&A for 5 minutes, and next class we can go, next Saturday we can go for prayers by Kunti and Parikshit saved. Okay, we will go through this in detail. So we'll open the stage for questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Now he's supposed to be like immortal now, Prabhu, Ashwatthama, Chiranjeevi.
Yeah.
Now after removing the jewel also, he'll be living, Prabhu.
He will live for an extended period of time. There are many theories. Okay. If you read Mahabharata, there are some descriptions. And if you hear Acharya's commentaries, there are many such descriptions are there. I've heard one description from our Guru Maharaj also. So there are many descriptions I've heard. So what people said in one viewpoint is that after Ashwatthama was removed of his jewel, he is now prone to suffering. Okay. So many diseases that attacked him, and then he suffered. Now, how this complexity of Chiranjeevi act as a pain for him? So since he's Chiranjeevi, he's supposed to live for an extended period of time, like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years. But in that entire period of lifetime, he's going to live with a lot of pain and sufferings for what he's done, right? From Shastric point of view, it is okay, because if someone is not punished for his act in the current lifespan, then in the subsequent, when the seeds of karma generate, it will be very severe for him and he'll suffer much more. So when a king awards capital death punishment to someone's committing a crime, it is good for him only. So like that, you see, Ashwatthama's the second part of the life was very tough. He suffered a lot for a very, very long period of time, even after, you know, after the removal of his jewels. So that is one version. There are many other versions are there. So I don't know which is the right one, because many are speaking, giving different conclusions. Maybe we have to find a more, authorized book to get to a conclusion what actually happened.
Like I wanted to.
Mother, you got cut.
No, he's not committed suicide because of shame.
No, your voice is getting cut. Hello?
Now can you hear, Prabhu?
Yes, Mother. No.
He is not committed suicide because of the shame.
No, he did not.
Okay.
Because of his that Chiranjeevi, even if he commits suicide, he won't die. See,
Okay.
one aspect of Ashwatthama is if you cut his finger, the finger will grow for him. Okay. So he had something like that as a benediction. It was given by, I think this jewel was given by Lord Shiva.
Jewel means here we have to consider it as hair of the head, Prabhu.
No, he had a manikam, he had a jewel on his forehead.
Oh.
Like you say, no, like diamond, sapphire, ruby.
Yeah.
That he had a jewel on his head.
Okay. Like the snake.
Was it part of his body, Prabhu?
Yeah, part of body means it was on his body.
Correct. And I mean, say normally we put the crowns and other things, keep it aside like that. But here,
no. It was part of his body. Yeah.
That's right.
It was just like a Karna Kundala for Karna, Prabhu.
Something like that. That's a good example.
Prabhuji, I wanted to ask the position of Dronacharya here, because he's accorded a lot of respect because he was a teacher. But his ability, probably wasn't it a mistake to judge his own son as worthy and still give him so much of power and still be respected because of that decision of his of favoring his son unduly?
In Mahabharata, you'll see there are many situations. So, for example, let's look at the problem of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra took a lot of wrong decisions, even though Vidura kept advising him, took long decisions just for what? Because he was attached to his son. Okay. So when we are into samsara, our attachment to family members, attachment to things will not allow us to see the rules of dharma properly. Oh, she's my wife. Oh, she's my son. Oh, she's my daughter. What we will do, we will make improper decisions. In English, it's called nepotism. Okay. Oh, my brother-in-law is also in ISKCON, and my brother-in-law is stealing from our matchless gifts, let's assume. Stealing as an act is to be punished. Oh, but my brother-in-law is doing, so I'll cover up the mistake. The problem is attachment, right? So, it is important to understand one's Swarupa Vishmriti. What is Swarupa Vishmriti is one's constitution position. Their constitution position is that they are connected to Lord as master and servant, but they do not see that, they see the body, and then hence they, what do you say, they act on the bodily platform rather than seeing the real platform. Here, Dronacharya saw his son in the form of same relationship, so hence he did not condemn him or correct him when he made mistakes while he was associated with Duryodhana. Problem.
Right, but why was so? Then wasn't it bad in the sense here Dronacharya's presence is very important. His connection with Dronacharya was one of the prime points discussed by Draupadi here, which gave him the aspect of justice to be accorded to him in that way. So wasn't that aspect that Dronacharya did a wrong thing, and so he should not be accorded so much of respect by the Pandavas, considering Dronacharya actually did a mistake of nepotism?
See, generally what happens is sometimes, our leaders, they make these mistakes. Okay. One of the, aspect of our devotion is that we need to be respectful to our leaders, right? Now, in the point of being respectful, we oversee their mistakes. Okay, we don't see their mistakes.
Okay.
We'll leave it to Lord because I'm not in a position to correct them. Like Pandavas are thinking that I cannot correct my guru. The Paramatma has to come one day to correct my guru, right? I'll give you one example. Once we were attending this deity training with our Prabhu. So he was teaching us something very important. He said, see, while you're practicing these methods and practicing deity worship, you will see many of your seniors not doing this proper thing. Don't go to correct them. It is none of your business. It is something between Lord and them. Okay, I'll give you a practical example what happened. So, for example, he told me that, Sundarapa, you should not do Achaman standing. You should do Achaman sitting. Okay, not that. He said, while doing Achaman, between every mantra step, you should not wash your hand. You should do one by one continuously. Washing hand happens only in the first and in the last. That's what he taught me. I said, okay. Now he said, you will see that your seniors do commit this mistake, but keep quiet. I said, okay. While temple opening happened, I was near the altar. At the time, sannyasis came. They came and asked me, Prabhuji, I want Achaman. I want to Achaman because I have to touch the deities. He said, okay, Maharaj, I'll give you. I gave the Achaman cup. He said, hold it in your hand. I held it in my hand. He did Achmanian standing, which again is generally not practiced. Secondly, he did wash his hand after every mantra. I saw that as a deviation. I saw there only. I also heard the instruction while I was being trained that I cannot question my gurus, my seniors, right? I saw it and I kept quiet. So this is a mark of respect that's being done. Then you may ask a question, who will correct them? Another senior to that person will correct him. At that point in time will happen. When will that happen? It is the arrangement of the Lord, arrangement of the Guru. So let's not bother too much about ourselves. We will do what needs to be done from our point of view. That's the whole point here.
Thank you,
Was the
Prabhuji, for this.
helpful?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandapana.
Yes, Madhuri.
Yeah, I have a question. Last previous purpose we had read, whatever we are not created, we have no rights to destroy. No, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then doctors removes embryo from the womb of mother for some reasons. Then what will the nature of the act from them, Prabhu?
It is wrong. You're talking about surrogate women, huh?
Yeah.
These are all generally not the correct practices. These are never recommended in the Shastras. These are all the whimsical acts in Kali Yuga.
The natural act.
Even IVF, you have to take permission of Guru only then that what is it called? IVF. That
IVF. Yeah.
You don't do anything whimsically. That's the whole point. That's what Shastra is trying to tell.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
See, even Kamsa waited for the child to be born in the womb of Mother Devaki. He did not kill the child in the womb of Mother Devaki, right? So you see, even he was about this abortion and things like this. He saw, oh, that's a very heinous act. But today, what's happening? People unite and they don't want child, they'll abortion. See, that's the fallen state of Kali Yuga. So hence, in initiation document, they write down, you cannot practice any of these things. Please sign. They're asking you to take a vow. Correct, Namataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
So
Then
like
before
many things
initiation, it
are
happened.
happening.
How it is, Prabhu?
Huh?
Before initiation, maybe doctors had did this. How it the nature acts, Prabhu?
Krishna said, no, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam praja. Whatever dharma you practiced, whatever things you thought was right, wrong, religion, that, this, all these things, you leave all of them and surrender to me. Once you surrender to me, whatever is there in your slate, I'll wipe it clean. Okay, start fresh. That's why it's called Dvija, or the second birth you're getting. From birth means, okay, all the previous things gone. New life, I'm starting. So practice a new life. Krishna says, I accept it. Because you are now willing to practice a new life.
That's great.
Hmm?
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
But after practice saying that, okay, Krishna, I promise you I'll practice a new life, again one does all those sinful acts. Regulative principles, not following the 4 pillars of dharma, all those things they continue to do, then they are into a helpless situation.
Okay.
So then there's no meaning for the promise, no?
Yes,
That's the whole point there. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay. One last question, otherwise we are done. Okay. So we all enjoyed this this entire pastime of Ashwatthama, where we understood many qualities of compassion, many qualities of justice, and how a devotee plays a balanced role between justice and compassion. But while doing all these things, it is important that we should practice devotion at our heart, because Paramatma will guide us to take the right decision. If our practice of devotion is adulterated or disturbed, then you see Krishna doesn't give us the right direction, and that causes us a problem. So devotion must be practiced in the right mood and consciousness, and the Lord, dadami yogam dadani buddhi yogam tam. Buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. So Krishna from the heart reveals to us how do we lead our life, how to move forward, how to handle every situation, so that we continue to complete this journey of human life and reach the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? So very important thing that we learned out of this. Meditate on this, the behavior of Draupadi, meditate on behavior of Arjuna, meditate on behavior of Krishna, meditate on behavior of Bhimasena, and see how this whole thing was acted. Okay? Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev.
Jai.
Vancha
Hari Hari Bol.
kalpatarubyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki
jai.
Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.